Welcome to Bloodbath and Beyond. Today we review Amsterdamned. The danger lies just below the surface.
Written and directed by Dick Maas, famous for The Lift and Sint, this movie is about a scuba diver who is a killer in the canals of Amsterdam. And this is actually a Bloodbath Baller Club recommendation from Jeanette Spivak, who's been a longtime supporter of the channel. Amsterdamned is a movie that has such a cool name. I've actually just had this sitting around hoping to do it at some point because look at the poster. It's Scuba Steve with a knife ready to go. We're gonna talk a lot about this movie, but we're not gonna give away who the actual killer is because this is basically a big whodunit who's completely covered in a wetsuit and goggles. You wouldn't know who it is, but we do want to talk about some of the more important, fun aspects of the film. So what do we like?
I'm actually gonna kick it off with the whodunit aspect. It is a wonderful mystery because you have the nice POV style shot where we're getting it from the killer's perspective, and the fact that so many characters are scuba divers, you just don't know who is going to be who, other than the obvious red herring.
I give up. I'm the murderer you've been looking for.
Everyone seems to have a motive.
And the ability to swim underwater like a professionally trained scuba diver. I don't think I could do it personally, so I would not be a suspect. I thought our acting was pretty well done. Eric, the main guy, he was doing his thing. He's a single father. He's trying to solve multiple homicides while also trying to get with a girl that is potentially a suspect and should probably not be involved with.
Me, I got a date with a work of art.
But he did a good job through and through. I thought his love life was important to the story, which was also great. I really liked the story. Aside from the whodunit stuff, the whole idea of a scuba slasher existing in Amsterdam is just so fun and interesting and innovative. And the fact that there's no railings and a scuba guy can just pull you into the canal. Imagine you lived in Amsterdam and you saw this movie. You'd be like, well, I never thought of that.
The canals are an ideal place in which to hide. You can go all around the city incognito.
I personally want Dick Maas to make a shark movie. Even though it was a scuba diver as the killer, it felt like Jaws because for some reason, the soundtrack almost sounded like Jaws. But the way he built up this suspense was exactly the kind of stuff we're looking for in a shark film.
I mean, there's even a throwback to Jaws where there's the girl on the little blow-up raft.
And we get that Nightmare on Elm Street moment too.
Which is an amazing shot. Absolutely love that. And it is interesting to read the trivia. He was actually propositioned to do the sequel or a sequel for Nightmare on Elm Street. And he passed it up to do Amsterdamned. It could have been his international breakout. And he's like, nah, this one should be good.
What is it?
Depth meter, standard equipment for a diver.
Dick Maas did not let us down with the action sequences in this film.
Oh my God, yes.
There was some wild street chases with motorcyclists and the little cars zooming through, even to the point where there was a lift bridge and the one motorcyclist, you're like, is he gonna make the jump? But instead he just bike goes down and he's just holding on to this bridge that's vertically up 90 degrees.
It was terrifying and awesome, not to mention the incredible boat sequence that we had. This was actually a very long boat chase, but the stunts were awesome. They were doing 90-degree angles. They were coming dangerously close to smashing against the side of these walls, and it was just a thrill ride. Well, I could have appreciated more action music while it happened. For some reason, it was void of music. But the actual sequence was so good. And I will say that it is worth knowing that this is more of a whodunit action movie than it is a horror film.
Now, it doesn't take away from our scuba slasher because he had some good kills and we did see a lot of practical aftermath. We saw a lot of bodies, we got headless corpses, we got stabbed victims.
Lots of weapons here. They're an absolute must for every diver. Be careful, it's very sharp. I'm aware.
He used cool weapons. He had harpoon guns, serrated knives, smooth knives. They kept talking about the knives he used.
One important difference is it had a serrated edge. It's not unusual in my experience. The kind carried by
a diver.
Exactly.
Now, what didn't we like? For how intense some of the scenes are, the music isn't that great. And I know it's a knock on Dick Maas himself, who was the composer. There were a lot of instances where tension was rising, but only from a visual aspect, and if they would have just added some more oomph to the score, it would have been that much better.
Because of this, I felt the pacing was off. When you're getting these long action sequences without a good score, it can be kind of boring. And that's how I felt with a lot of the sequences in this film.
I can agree, which is so weird because usually we'd be like, wow, I'm so shocked that they're doing this thing. And one of my big highlights was the boat scene, but it goes on. It's probably 6 to 7 minutes and it doesn't have music. But it reminds me of the They Live fight, where it's like, cool fight, but why is it going on for so long?
Yeah, and then we also had like pointless moments, I'm gonna say. Our main character, Eric, had a daughter and she had a friend, and the two of them, they had a lot of screen time that led to nowhere. They at one point went out to try and like solve the mystery themselves, and they didn't do anything significant for the amount of time they developed their characters.
Even in the last shot of the movie, he's just like, you don't need to go see what my daughter's doing. I've been out solving crimes for the last 2 days.
Shouldn't we go back? Annika will be worried.
Like, the only reason you would kind of have this single dad looking for another lover is if there was a closing moment of his new girl, Laura, going and meeting her and befriending her, and then you close the movie. But they didn't have that. It was just like, she's doing her own thing. She's probably getting with Willie.
Hi, Pop.
Papa's out of here.
Where to?
Tell you later.
Even like how I said I liked the red herring effect, a lot of our characters didn't need to exist, and they didn't do a really good job with establishing these characters and giving us a resolve. They just kind of like made excuses for themselves. It's like, oh, we're gonna catch this guy for no apparent reason.
You might as well confess, because we'll get it out of you sooner or later.
We got a tip. Okay, let's bust in his house. Well, are we not gonna explain that?
Who gave us the tip?
An ex-workmate of his, he ran into him last week and thought he was acting strangely. Said he was talking about getting even with someone.
Now it's time for our final thoughts and ratings. Amsterdam was actually a really enjoyable time. It's not the best movie, but there are a lot of scenes that are certainly memorable and will stick with me. Specifically one that we didn't mention, which was one of the first, where there's like this woman that gets killed. She's hung up on the bridge and a bunch of kids are traumatized because she drags on top of their tour boat. It's awesome. It's one of the coolest scenes of the film. I like the whodunit. I like that we had a scuba slasher. It's a very innovative concept for a slasher movie. I liked all of our characters. I thought the acting was great. It was well shot, and I really, really enjoyed the stunts. There are definitely some faults when it comes to the lack of intense music or score in general. I just wasn't a huge fan of. And at the end of the day, I just think it was an okay movie. It's not the best. It's not a hard recommend, but I think it's worth watching. So I'm gonna give this 3 reasons why I wouldn't live in a houseboat out of 5.
Amsterdam to me is one of those films that has a lot of good and a lot of bad in it. But the bad isn't like what bad you think it is. There's moments in the story that were lacking, which created the pacing to be slow. There was character decisions that didn't make sense or they didn't follow up. If you cut that out, this would have been a lot more exciting and it was fun. The fun part about this film is trying to figure out who the killer is, and they did a fantastic job leaving it right to the very end. I liked our kills, I liked the practical effects, I liked our killer. The scuba diver killer is underutilized. I feel we need more movies like this. It's just a fun concept. So would I recommend this film? Yes. Yes, I would. So with that being said, I gotta give this film 3 no willies allowed out of 5.
As always, thank you for watching. Like this video and comment below with your thoughts on the film if you've seen it. If you haven't and you do want to check it out, links are in the description. If this is your first time here, make sure you subscribe to the channel, stay up to date with everything here on Bloodbath and Beyond.